Hello, this is Joe Pryor, the virtual real estate team in Oklahoma, where we specialize in new residential construction for investors in the Oklahoma City and Tulsa market. Now, I've talked about interest rates. I've also talked about inflation in terms of how that can affect prices on homes and how it can affect mortgage rates. But something else can affect mortgage rates that has nothing to do with what the 10-year Treasury is doing, has nothing to do with inflation. And this is when a large builder can do something that you as an investor or you as an owner-occupant cannot do. What they can do behind the scenes is they can buy very large packages of loans that have a reduced rate. In other words, when you're an investor, you got 2%, you got $250,000 purchase price, then you've got $5,000 to play with on buying down an interest rate. That's not going to buy you down to about, maybe 6.125, 6.25. You put a little extra money in and it becomes 5.99, but it costs you something. All right, but what D.R. Horton or what Lennar or some of these really big builders can do is they can put some upfront money and buy it down for you. So in other words, about $5,000 to $10,000 a house. So these companies can expense millions of dollars. Why would they do this? Why would they do these millions of dollars? Because it's a better thing to do as versus reducing prices. Because they want to maintain comparables. They want to make the previous people who bought happy. Now, they're not going to be happy if they see a reduction. And they want to give you an incentive in order to buy. So here is where we are. One of our builders right now is offering 5.625% fixed rate for 30 years with no points. In other words, a par rate. Right now, par is actually 6.75 without any points. So they're giving you 5.625% because they're buying it down on their end. And what this does makes a dramatic difference in cash flow, but it also makes a dramatic difference in the amount of money that you've got to put out, because now you're not having to put out money for points to buy down. And that's a real advantage. Now, I have another builder, one of these big builders, that is doing 5.75% and then offering $5,000 for closing cost allowance. So you don't necessarily have to buy it down. You can, if you want, you can buy it down to 5.625, but you can also stay with 5.75, which works, and use that money to offset your closing costs, your appraisal, your recording fees, your insurance, your escrow accounts, everything that comes as closing costs for you. And so this is what the large builders can do, especially now. So what I'm expecting, because we are in August at this point, and normally there's a slowdown as we go towards the fourth quarter. Now in Oklahoma, it's because school has started in many places and will start everywhere by the middle of the month. And so the owner-occupants are out of the market at this point, and this is where they come to me because I have a reputation of selling hundreds of their homes. And so they are going to give us a special rate. So this is what we have going right now. It's been incredibly successful, but this is the difference between a small independent builder and one of the big boys in terms of what they're able to do to give you a rate that's exceptional, that you don't have to worry about refinancing, because it's too high. So it's something you can act right now. Hopefully there'll be something else before the end of the year, but right now, this is what we have, 5.625 or 5.75 with no points.